Look, he chips it up. 1, 2. What the? Bro, 2-0. Nah, bro. Goodbye. I have not seen that shit before.
If you guys are still playing FC24 and you want some cheap coins, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you do use my code Rema, it will give you a lovely 5% discount off your order. So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, we do have my tactics for the 4-3-3 fifth variation, probably my favourite variation of the 4-3-3 in this game. I think the centre forward makes a lot of difference when it comes to, you know, the build-up play. It just seems like much easier to link up the play. Just before we get into the video, I would like to apologise again for the lack of uploads over the past week. I mentioned in my previous video that I wouldn't be posting many videos because of my mother that is unfortunately in hospital at the moment with a serious infection. I want to thank you all for those that did show concern and you know, sent nice messages. She's doing a bit better, but she's still in the hospital. But I just thought I'd give you guys that little update if you are interested. So thank you all for your support. And with all that aside, guys, let's get right into today's video. Alrighty then guys, so for the custom tactics, defensive style, we have this on balanced. It's the same as always. The reason we do this is because it does give us the best control when we are defending. So when we want to press our opponent, we can do that, and then when we want to be more passive and maybe drop off, we can also do that. So balance gives us more control, which is lacking with the pressure tactics. Moving on to the defensive width, I have this on 35. I have it for pretty much every formation at the moment because I find it to be the perfect number to have it on. The reason for this is because it gives you a really nice narrow and compact defense, so you can block out all of those attacks through the middle. It's especially overpowered if you have like these players with block plus and intercept plus, because it just becomes impossible for your opponent to get through. Another thing is, you might think it'd be really bad at covering wider areas because it is a low number, but honestly I've not really had many issues with it. You can pretty easily get out to the wing and stop the switches of the play and stuff like that. So I think it's alright, but if you want to make some adjustments, you can go right ahead. Now for the depth, this one is completely preference based, I'd say. If you want to do what a lot of people are doing and use that 100 depth stuff, then go right ahead. The reason people do that, if you're unsure by the way, is because it gives you this automatic press from the AI, a really high defensive line, and it just makes it impossible for your opponent to play through, especially when you've got like all these high rated players. It's just really glitchy, so it's really difficult to play against, and it does help people out in that sense. If you're a bit more controlled in your defense, you're a bit more experienced and you want to do things a bit more manually, you can do what I do and have it on 65, where you still have that high defensive line, you just have a bit more control over when you press. Now for the build-up, I have this on balanced and I recommend you guys have it on balanced as well. The reason for this is it's by far the most consistent and the most fluid in my opinion. When you balance, you can basically pick and choose between all the types of build-up, so like slow build-up, fast build-up, and basically just pick and choose when you want to use them essentially. I also think these individual settings are really poor. They don't really give you the best AI and it doesn't suit the game very well in my opinion. So if you want it to be the most reliable, I would suggest balanced in this game. Now for the chance creation, direct passing is an absolute must, as it's pretty much the only way to consistently break through the defense in this game. Now it is very AI heavy, it's very park the bus central in FC24, so direct passing is very important because the movements are what allow you to break through that park the bus. The reason for this is because your attackers do make these runs, and then defenders follow the attackers making the run, then the attacker tracks back. So it's like a push forward track back movement to create space so that you can cut back. So very boring but very effective nonetheless. For the attacking width, this one, to be honest with you, is completely preference based. You know, you can have it narrow or you can have it wide, so all you really need to know is the lower the number, the more narrow your attack, and the higher the number, the wider your attack. So make of that what you will. I go for a more narrow type with 44 width, as it just, you know, seems to be a bit easier to link up the play. Now for the players in the box, I have this on 7. I like this because it gives me quite a lot of players in the penalty area, but we don't completely overcommit to the point where we're all, you know, we're not always going to get counter-attacked if we lose out on possession. Then for corners and free kicks, this one is also a preference-based thing, but I just have them both on 2. You guys can do what you want with that as well. Now moving on to the player instructions, guys. For the centre forward or the striker, I have them on stay central and get in behind. Now we have them on stay central because we don't want them drifting out into those wider areas. We have wingers and fullbacks, so we don't need them covering that space. We'd much prefer them to be in the middle, so we do keep them on stay central. I also have them on getting behind because I think it forces movements out of the player and you just seem to get a lot more out of them. If you're using this player, especially like in the centre forward role on mixed attack, then they can be very static, especially against an opponent that is using pressure tactics, so I would not advise it. I would advise getting behind, as I find it to be the most reliable in this game. Now for the wingers, both the right winger and the left winger, guys, we have them on come back on defence, cut inside, get in behind and get into the box for cross. We have these wingers on come back on defence for that extra midfield support. It almost like defends in a 4-5-1 when we don't have the ball. The reason we do this is because if you look at the formation, there is a lot of space out wide in the midfield that can be exploited by the opponent. So we have the wingers on comeback to fill in that space and make it more difficult for our opponents to attack. I also have them on cut inside, as it means they start their runs out in the wider areas and then transition into the more narrow areas to get closer to the striker. It's a really nice movement that I like, but some of you might not want to use it, and that is absolutely fine. We also have them on getting behind, of course, because we want them to force those runs. Mixed attack, again, can be very static, and you don't really want that on your wingers, so we want them to be using their pace. Then we also have them on getting to the box across, so they don't hesitate in getting into the penalty area and helping us out in that way. Now, for this right centre mid, I use more of a box-to-box centre mid, so somebody that will attack and defend, basically do a bit of everything in Modric. So on this player, we just leave them on the complete default settings. We don't touch them. The only thing I change personally is cover centre, so that they'll cover that middle area, as we have the wingers coming back to cover those wider areas. For the CDM, obviously the more defensive minded of the midfielders, we have them on stay back, cut passing lanes and cover centre. We have them on stay back because, like I said, they're the stay back, they're the anchor, they bring that balance to the midfield, so we don't want them flying forward. Cut passing lanes, so they're always looking to intercept those passes and break up the play, and then again cover centre to cover that middle area, as we don't really need them covering the wing. Now for this left centre mid, I use an actual like attacking centre mid, so somebody that's just going to be used as another attacker really, in Robin van Persie. So on this player, we pop them on get forward, get into the box across and cover centre again. These two instructions at the top, get forward and get into the box across, basically just mean this player will, you know, be an attacker essentially, and then cover centre, so that when they do defend and when we don't have the ball, they'll cover that middle area as well. So it does help if you have a player that does have decent defensive stats. I know this Robin van Persie does have 90 defending, but I prioritise them being a good attacker in this role. Now moving on to the fullbacks, I have my right back, my more attacking fullback, on balanced overlap. The reason I do this is because I have my wingers on cut inside, so they transition into the more narrow areas, leaving space for this fullback to overlap and then give us that extra width. So it makes your attack much more unpredictable, it gives you width in your attack and makes it much more difficult for your opponent to defend. I find this to be very underrated, so I would recommend it. For the other fullback, the left back, I have them on stay back and overlap, so we always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, but when we send them on that run forward, they'll make that overlapping run to give us the extra width, just like the other fullback. For the 2 centre backs, we leave them alone, and then the keeper, we also leave them alone. But yeah, guys, they are my tactics and instructions. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to drop it a thumbs up, sub to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to turn those notifications on. And with all that aside, guys, hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys. Take care.